Investigation.
It is, and for everyone asking when are we going to learn the cause of death, it could take some time before we have preliminary autopsy results, but the autopsy being conducted today in Grand Teton County, as Justin has been talking about. So at first and foremost here, as the process would go, confirming the identity of the deceased, we do have that confirmation. It is, in fact, 22-year-old Gabby Petito. A heartbreaking news here, folks, but news that we, of course, learned about when the FBI had their press conference the other night, and of course when they told the world that they had informed the Petito family of the news. We, of course, we know that a process has to be followed here as far as identifying the remains here. But really, the big takeaway, of course, is here that that we now have a homicide investigation that has been launched. The FBI is now leading this investigation, a criminal investigation that is currently underway as to determining the what exactly happened to Gabby Petito. And we're going to talk here in a moment about the search efforts here. What else, really quickly, let's just continue to go through here. This is the release here from the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI here, Denver. So what else sticks out to you as we comb through this document here?
We know,
Justin?
JB, that the public has played a huge role in this investigation. We know she was reported missing on September 11th. And 8 days later, JB, they located, we now know, her body in that camping area in Wyoming. The FBI is still seeking information from anyone who utilized the Spread Creek dispersed camping area between the dates of August 27th and 30th, those who may have had contact with Gabby Petito or Brian Laundrie. So again, JB, the FBI is still seeking help from the public, anyone who may have been in that camping area in late August, to come forward with tips or information to push this investigation further. We can't say enough about so many people who've been sharing tips and helping this investigation, JB. But again, the FBI is still seeking tips from the public.
I'm going to read this paragraph here. The forensic search has concluded of the Spread Creek dispersed camping area, and law enforcement has released the area. The FBI is seeking information from anyone who utilized the Spread Creek dispersed camping area between the dates of August 27th and August 30th of 2021, who may have had contact with Miss Petito or Mr. Laundrie, or who may have seen their vehicle. The Spread Creek dispersed camping area is located within the Bridger Teton National Forest on the east boundary of Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. And reading here the quote here from FBI Denver Special Agent in Charge, Michael Schneider. The FBI's commitment to justice is at the forefront of each and every investigation. The FBI and our partners remain dedicated to ensuring anyone responsible for or complicit in Miss Petito's death is held accountable for their actions. Mr. Brian Laundrie has been named a person of interest. Anyone with information concerning Mr. Laundrie's role in this matter or his current whereabouts should contact the FBI. Brian Laundrie at this time, folks, is still there's going to be folks here that are seemingly in disbelief based on all the comments that I've been reading now over the last week. There are going to be folks that cannot believe this fact. But right now, still at this time, Brian Laundrie is a person of interest in this case. The reason that Brian Laundrie is a person of interest and not a suspect is because while they continue this process as far as the autopsy, their investigation in Northwest Wyoming, at this time, this would, of course, what this screams to me is that we have no evidence to charge Mr. Laundrie, Brian Laundrie, with a crime. They have no evidence, no grounds to upgrade him from person of interest to suspect. They have Gabby's remains. Yeah. The process is now going to continue. They know that it's her. They know that she died of homicide. But as far as then connecting the next dot as to how she died, the cause of death, and who played a role in her death, we're just not there yet at this stage of where we are, Justin, in this investigation.
I also want to read, JB, this came out a little bit earlier today, but this was a statement from the attorney for Gabby's parents, the Petito and Schmidt families. He said, I want to personally thank the press and news media for giving the Petito and Schmidt family time to grieve. We're making a statement when Gabby is home. I will contact you to arrange a time and location. So that was a statement earlier today from Gabby's family. Again, of course, they received this awful news, JB, on Sunday. And I just think back to my interview last week with her father, Joseph Petito. What he told me last Tuesday, a week ago, was he was going to hold on to hope that she was just lost somewhere out there without her phone, off the grid, until he was told otherwise. And JB, we know sadly the FBI made that call on Sunday. The body was found, and now 2 days later, the coroner confirming those remains are those of the young woman you see on the screen there from that body camera video in Utah, 22-year-old Gabby Petito.
Let's make this very clear here, folks. What we're going to do here is we're going to activate the Share to Help banner here on the bottom of your screen. Shares here can still help. This has now officially been upgraded to a homicide investigation. Any and all shares on social media. I believe that we have in our system here what is the visual that we have here that was just dropped into our system here, Justin? It's a visual, the updated visual here. Of
the FBI did put out a new poster in which they do refer to her as a homicide victim. I know the main website remains tips.fbi.gov. By phone, 1-800-CALL-FBI or 303-629-7171. I believe that's a Denver number, the 303 area code. They also have a dedicated line for digital media that is fbi.gov/Petito. Again, we should have all this information on WFLA.com in our app to submit this. And I did just tweet also the poster, JB, is on my Twitter page, WFLA Justin. So the new poster is out. They are still seeking information from anyone who is in the park area there, east of Grand Teton in Bridger Teton National Forest from August 27th to August 30th. So again, people might go back, check their videos, and that's the poster right there, JB, again, referring to Miss Petito as the homicide victim. Again, you see on the screen there in the middle is that white Ford van, which we learned from the search warrant, JB, that Brian Laundrie returned to Florida about 10:30 a.m., returned to Northport on September 1st in that van, which was taken from his parents' home. And then you also have, there's the map showing the area where they're highlighting where Miss Petito's body was found. They're still seeking information for those who visited that part of the Spread Creek dispersed camping area in Bridger Teton National Forest.
We do now have the shot up here in the center of your screen. This is
the new poster.
Yep, the poster here, folks. And let's see if we can just kind of take a little bit of a closer look at it here, Justin. Seeking information, Gabrielle Petito, homicide victim. It hurts to say, but homicide victim. Bridger Teton National Park, August 2021. There you see one of the many pictures that we've been seeing of Gabby Petito there on the left side of your screen, middle of the screen, the van, right side of the screen, the map of the area, date of birth, March 19th, 1999, blonde hair, 5'5", female, American, place of birth, Long Island, New York, blue eyes, 110 pounds, white, scars and marks. Petito had visible tattoos on her hand and forearm. And of course, there are details then here below. I
can't think, JB, enough cannot be said. Within 8 days of this investigation beginning, they were able to locate her body, JB. Her and Brian had crossed the country, stopped at so many national parks, in Colorado. We've talked a lot about the incident in Utah with the police report there, then to end up in Wyoming. And just imagine all these tips from the public that helped investigators put this puzzle together to find this young woman's body out there in the forest. Just 8 days, JB, after a concerned mother made that call to police in New York, launching this nationwide search and investigation.
Let's get to some of the comments and questions that are coming in here. What we do on WFLA Now. Our commenters by now know this, but our new viewers here, welcome. Justin Checker, JB Buno here with the Live on WFLA Now. You can use the hashtags on each side of your screen here on the yellow stripes. The two that we have up here right now, hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJustin, and we'll feature some of your comments. What do you have to say regarding this new news, this new development here in this story? You, wherever you're watching from, and I know that we have people joining us from across the United States. We've had viewers joining us from Germany, from the UK, from Australia, from New Zealand. Wherever you're watching from, you are part of this story. We want to hear from you. And a lot of the comments and questions that we've had, Justin, here on the stream with others, such as Josh Benson, Walt Pito, a lot of our commenters asking questions to our WFLA 8 on Your Side team here. Again, our commenters have been carrying the conversation forward here with asking phenomenal questions, making excellent observations here. So we want to hear from you here. Let us know first and foremost what you think of this most recent development, and then we can start to answer some of the questions that we have here in the Facebook Live and YouTube Live and on Twitter using these hashtags. And again, continue just to carry this conversation forward now. And I've been grabbing some of the hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJustin comments here out of the Facebook Live comment section. We'll start here with Allison Hilton. Hashtag HeyJB. Does this mean the police are going to shift how they question his parents.
Could very well change things, JB. We know yesterday the FBI did execute a search warrant at that home. They haven't really revealed what they found yesterday, JB. We know Brian Laundrie's parents really have been uncooperative till police went in on Friday night when they said, hey, we don't know where our son is. We know yesterday the FBI went in, they removed the couple from their home there in Northport, went in, executed their search warrant, and begs the question, what will happen next? But there's a great question there from Allison that really the fact this has been ruled a homicide changes things. But again, at this point, according to the press release, they are still referring to Brian Laundrie a person of interest, but now he becomes a person of interest in a homicide investigation, not a person of interest in a missing persons case, JB.
I want to make sure that I give a shout out. I had a lot of folks commenting my way on Instagram, and I want to let our commenters know that, of course, we've been following as many social media platforms here as possible. And Instagram is one of them. And on my WFLAJB Instagram account, somebody was asking a question pertaining to, can they bring in Brian Laundrie's parents? And one of the things I was trying to I was replying to that commenter by saying that it's not necessarily a matter of bringing them in. Bringing them in, I don't know, accomplishes all that much. If anything, it potentially worsens the situation because of just the media circus that is currently that currently is Northport, Florida.
I mean, we saw the other night just the amount of people who were literally right on their front lawn, JB. The FBI,
and I want to just finish.
When the FBI went in yesterday, they secured that perimeter a little better, kept people backing out while they went in to execute that search warrant. So again, you have the FBI's on top of this, the FBI office out in Denver, here in Tampa. And again, we know, JB, the other development today is that search continued. Nothing came of it yet in the preserve as they continue looking for Brian Laundrie. Again, his whereabouts still unknown at this hour.
Yeah, and I want to make this clear about what I mean by that. That it could be worse to bring them in. Again, the media circus and people are, again, we don't know
what they found during the search of the home yesterday. We also know Northport police is trying to access the hard drive they found in the van. So there's a lot that the investigators will keep to their vest, JB, as they try to build this case, figure out exactly what happened, confirming exactly who is responsible. So,
and what I mean is that they can cooperate from their home. Police can visit the home, can go in there, have a conversation. They can have a phone call with the parents, ask any line of questioning, but physically bringing them into the police department. People have been asking about that and shift how they question the parents. And we just don't know the parents' involvement at this time. People want to speculate endlessly on social media as to the parents assisting Brian Laundrie in some way as far as his disappearance, but we have no evidence and no word at this time that they were complicit as far as helping Brian vanish earlier or last week. So
the big question is, JB, what happened in those 11 days from when he dropped the van back off to Saturday, September 11th, when the police showed up and found the van there? That's the second part of this mystery. We talked about what happened to Gabby in that time from the last call to now when they found her body. But the question is, JB, where was he for those 11 days before Northport police showed up at their home to recover the van? And obviously since, he has now gone off the radar, and that the first time his parents went to speak with police was to report him missing on Friday night.
Let's get to the next comment here. This is one of the most, I want to make this clear that sometimes we'll look at comments based on how many likes they get, because the more likes that they get, the more people agree that this is a question that should be asked at this particular time. So some of our commenters there post a comment, and then it accumulates a lot of likes very, very quickly. So that's something that we do take into account here. And this was one of the comments that we quickly saw accumulate a lot of likes, and it's a difficult one, but we're going to talk about this. Melissa Rodriguez, #HeyJB. So who is going to hold Brian's parents and Northport police accountable for letting Brian go? This is terrible. And I want to, again, make it perfectly clear for our audience here. And again, where we are right now, this is a missing persons case. Brian Laundrie is a person of interest in a homicide investigation. And there's been people that have this feeling that police let him go. And let's just kind of talk about that here for one moment, about the notion that police let him go, or not that they let him go, but that they let him vanish. We had Northport spokesperson Josh Taylor on Friday night. He called in to WFLA Now, and he was talking about the tracking, that they weren't necessarily, he was a person of interest and he wasn't wanted for
And
any
it wasn't
crime.
a criminal investigation.
It wasn't a
at that
criminal
point.
investigation at that time, as we
missing
understand
person
it. It was a
case.
missing persons case. So, or it wasn't even a missing person. It was a person of interest. This
Person
is
of interest
before
in
he
a
was
missing person search at that point. Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So, Northport police and authorities, just law enforcement in general, have been really getting a lot of comments here, and we understand that. A lot of comments here as far as how do you let Brian disappear like this? How do you let Brian vanish? And people asking questions, well, did they have eyes on Brian? Were they tracking Brian? When Chief Todd Garrison had that Thursday press conference,
he knew where he was.
Said, we know where he is,
but that was
said it twice.
Based on the information his uncooperative parents had told them.
Right. So then were police wrong? Were police misled? What occurred here? But we understand that there is a tremendous amount of frustration towards authorities for knowing where Brian was, or saying that they knew where Brian was at one moment and then he was gone the
24
next.
hours later. Yep.
We get it. We understand that source of frustration is out there. So as far as holding police accountable, holding Brian's parents accountable, we're not really at that stage just yet. I think that a lot of this can be revisited in the future, but right now the number one goal, the number one priority is finding Brian. Number one. You can criticize. You are. I want to make this clear to all of our audience members. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're blasting on your keyboard right now, shame on the police, and not clicking the share button. You're not part of the solution. You're not part of the solution. You should be clicking the share button and trying to help get results for this story, because that's priority number one. Once Brian is found, or when we determine what has happened to Brian Laundrie, then of course the protocol and the policy, and whether or not the police acted in the right way, and the investigation was coordinated with the right effort and with the right strategy, that can all be handled in the future, and we can have that conversation at a later date. Right now, it's about finding Brian. So I understand the frustration. I get it. I've been reading all the comments, people being extremely highly critical of law enforcement. But right now, we need to be focusing on finding Brian.
And also the second thing, just take time also to offer our condolences to the Petito and Schmidt families. We know her father posted that beautiful tribute, the photo of her the other day. I mean, this is really a confirmation, JB, of the news that this family was given the other day, but that still can't be lost too. Obviously, there's a lot of focus on the continued search to find her fiance, high school sweetheart, find him. But again, just giving space to this family that did just lose their 22-year-old daughter in a case that has captivated the country, has captivated the world. And again, we want to respect their privacy, give them time to grieve there. And I know there's been so much outpouring of support for this family. And I can tell you from my conversation with Mr. Petito last week that that was helping them through this difficult time, this difficult search, knowing this might not end well, but so many people of you out there on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, have just been showing so much love and support for this young woman and her family. And hopefully that can help them at least try to cope with this devastating news.
Yeah. And I will, again, remind our viewers that we have been talking about Gabby Petito and her memory, and trying to keep things in perspective here as to how much the Petito and Schmidt families right now are grieving. This is a terrible loss. And I just had a comment here. Somebody passed along here, JB, hey, we can share the news and still be mad at police. And I totally understand that. I completely agree. I'm not disagreeing with anybody. But there are a lot of people out there that are just wanting to blame law enforcement here, when that is a sentiment that can be shared now and in the future. But right now, all I am saying here, folks, I'm reading your comments, the priority needs to be finding Brian. Yes, you can do both. You can help and be critical of law enforcement. Yeah. We understand that. We get it. But there are hard-working men and women out there right now at this very hour, searching through the very swampy Carlton Reserve, looking for Brian Laundrie or any sign of him. And right now, the number one priority has to be finding Brian. So I didn't, again, to Melissa's comment, it wasn't more about coming down on that particular line of questioning or any of the comments that are coming in here. It's, again, as just a reminder here, folks, that the number one priority isn't blasting law enforcement. The number one priority right now is helping law enforcement find Brian.
Again, when I said, JB, the 8 days, you think without the help of the public, they're going to find that young woman's body out there in Wyoming? It was tips and help of good Samaritans, people who went back, recognized the van, recognized the Florida plates, recognized this young woman and her fiance, to help that needle in a haystack search to find her that quickly, JB. And obviously, as we continue to push this story out there with all the attention you folks are giving to this story, hopefully there'll be that breakthrough, that tip that can help bring law enforcement to track down Mr. Laundrie sometime soon.
Let's get to this one here from Megan Nicole here. Hashtag HJB, hashtag HJustin. Why do you think Brian's lawyer backed out of making a statement today after speaking with the FBI? Yesterday, excuse me.
This is me taking my reporter out. I mean, I don't have any inside information. We knew the autopsy was happening today. Can you imagine if that attorney would have got up in New York at 1:30 with the New York press corps and been battered and hammered with questions on the same day we get the confirmation of the news we have fear but realized was likely coming in the last 48 hours? Does that make sense, JB?
It does. Yep.
Maybe he stepped back and realized maybe today was not the day to come publicly for the first time. But for the last 8 days, we've been getting these statements from Attorney Bertolino. Maybe it was out of a little respect for her family to say, hey, maybe today is not the day to have some media barnstorm of questioning in New York. So a lot can be asked about this attorney, about whether he could have done more to help investigators in the last few weeks instead of just hiding behind the constitutional rights of not having to speak. In some ways, them not having the press conference today is probably the most respectful thing they could have done for this young woman's family.
And I'll just share with you my initial reaction to when we found out yesterday that there was going to be a Tuesday press conference by Stephen Bertolino and by the office of the attorney representing Brian Laundrie. I was flabbergasted.
Can I say one thing? He's been representing their family, JB. One thing I've had did not confirm. Did he ever actually even speak to Brian Laundrie? We don't know that. We know that was the name of the attorney the family turned over to police when they showed up that night. So he's been more of a family attorney, not just a little clarification, JB. But again, it's probably best Mr. Bertolino did not have that news conference. I think we can agree on that.
I couldn't believe that they announced the press conference for the following day when this is a story
we knew
that
the autopsy was going to be conducted today.
Yeah, rapidly evolving at every hour. And if the press conference that was called and then canceled is done for the intention of getting their phones to stop ringing off the hook or something like that, or to ease up on Stephen Bertolino's office. And if that is the case, then that is your job as an attorney, is to have your phone ring off the hook.
Yep.
I don't understand unless there is something more behind that announcement that, again, the press conference eventually canceled, unless there's something more to it. I just thought that it was it was almost borderline inappropriate based on where we are right now in this story to call a press conference for what? Just to say that he's missing and that we haven't heard from him, to say what you know and to be a face on this story. That's just,
and we haven't
again,
seen
that's
him
just
the
my
last
2 cents.
several days before they finally found her body.
Let's get to this, Megan. Thank you a lot for your comment and your question. I said earlier, how is it no evidence? Or excuse me, Amy Lee Settle saying, how is it no evidence? Because I said earlier that at this time, the reason that Brian Laundrie remains a person of interest and not a suspect in the case is because they don't have grounds to upgrade him to a suspect, and they don't have grounds to charge him with a crime, which means that there is a lack of evidence in this case. So Amy Lee Settle here asking, hashtag HAB, how is it no evidence? Brian came back by himself in Gabby's vehicle. He and his parents refused to contact Gabby's parents. I don't understand. And I understand this comment, and I understand this question. Brian came back by himself in Gabby's vehicle. How is that enough? Not enough. And again, going back to the Thursday press conference with Todd Garrison, chief of police in Northport, saying that the van returning with Brian to Northport, Florida from Wyoming is not enough grounds. People were asking about GTA, Grand Theft Auto. Can you charge that person with the crime considering that the van was in Gabby's name? And he said unequivocally no. He just said no. He looked point blank at the camera and said no. Can't do it. So how is it no evidence? Well, they don't have enough on the van, and they don't have enough based on that trip alone.
I don't have the answer to this, so JB. This made my question. I'll try to reach out if there are any attorneys watching. Is the fact now that she has become a homicide victim means does that change the nature of the van being taken back? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not an attorney, JB, but I am wondering that if that changes the dynamics there. Just something, food for thought. But again, we know also, JB, at this point, like I've said several times on this stream, investigators know more than they are telling us, whether it's Northport police here or it's the FBI. And the big thing is what did they find of any evidence of significance during that raid of the home yesterday? You saw them go in there, JB, pulled the parents out, went in, executed a search warrant that is on top of the search warrant to look at the external hard drive device they found inside the van. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. We all want the answers now. And the other thing, too, we said off the top, JB, is, well, we know it's a homicide. There'll still be further pending tests until they just tell us exactly, sadly, how this young woman was killed.
I want to, one more time, take a moment. You know, I've received some correspondence over the last 24 hours that that the Schmidt and Petito families have been catching some of our coverage here on WFLA now with our entire wonderful team here at WFLA News Channel 8. And I just, one more time, I'm speaking here directly to those families, to the Petito and the Schmidt families. If they're watching right now, this is a very trying hour, even though I know that by now that they may have found out news about this before the FBI tweeted it out with their announcement. This is something that they have may perhaps come to accept based on the news, of course, that we were provided with this weekend. But I just want to one more time, and Justin did it a moment ago, and I would like to take a moment here just to pass along our sincerest condolences to the Petito and Schmidt families. I can just speak to my passions here, and my passions are, I now want there to be justice for Gabby. This live stream now is a call for justice for Gabby Petito. And this is a story where we want to know what happened to Gabby Petito. And we want to know who's going to be held responsible for what happened to Gabby Petito. And let's now kind of, as we say here, I'm just going to look into the camera and just tell the Petito and Schmidt families that our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts are with you. And we are doing everything that we can here as far as, again, encouraging shares on social media, carrying the conversation forward, encouraging people to come forward, everything that we can as far as presenting this news story with the compassion and accuracy that it absolutely deserves. We're doing everything that we can here to make sure that this story provides us, or anything that we can do to ensure that this story provides us with justice for Gabby. And again, making that perfectly clear to all the families, the Petito and Schmidt families, and everybody watching wherever you are watching from.
One of the comments that really stuck out to me, JB, during my interview with Mr. Petito, it was a week ago about this time, actually, is he said to me, he basically told me, I want you to pull strings, do whatever you can in your company to make this story as big as you possibly can. And just to see how this story has become so much attention in this trying to unravel this mystery, I think the family knows that a lot of us here at our company, at our station, have taken the time and resources to cover this thoroughly, but it's not just us that made this really a national story. And that is really what the father wanted a week ago, JB, telling me that this needs to be everywhere. Look at those pictures of his daughter, get them in your mind. And I go back to what I said before, that the help from the public and the tips about the van sightings to narrow down this search to find the body so quickly that it wasn't out there for weeks or months decomposing. Really, hats off to all the people who sent in tips to help the FBI and the Park Service out there find her so quickly. But again, the work is far from over, and this investigation is far from over. And as we said off the top, the FBI is still seeking information from folks who visited the Spread Creek dispersed camping area between August 27th and August 30th, and anyone who may have had contact with Miss Petito or Brian Laundrie.
Let's get to a couple more of the comments and questions that are coming in. And one here from Denise on Facebook Live is getting a staggering amount of likes. So we're going to take that one here in just a moment. Let's throw up Michelle Olson's comment here. #KJB, just thinking of all that helped find Gabby and praying for the truth of it all comes out soon. And hey, listen, talking about the folks there that spent a long amount of time that were working this search as far as Northwest Wyoming. Yeah, Michelle, your point is spot on here. These are hard working men and women that are doing everything that they can to provide the public with updates here on this story. And we, of course, we had heard about the medical examiner's office performing the autopsy today. And we now have a way now. We have a platform here with the audience that we have here with this breaking news development to, again, share out news here based on what we know with this story and try to get Brian's image out there. And Brian is going to be a difficult person to track down based on, of course, what is within the realm of possible right now. And we'll get more focused on Brian and the search efforts here in just a moment. But really spot on here from Michelle Olson. Again, use hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJustin, and we can feature your comments here in the Facebook Live comment section. Yeah. So, and again, we're gonna talk about that. So people wondering as far as the comments here, and Denise, your comment, your question is coming up here, but we're gonna take this one. We're just kind of talk about this because a note was passed along here. Why haven't we mentioned murder? Why hasn't this been called? Because homicide and murder are different. And that right now, this is a death, a homicide, a legal, the definition of homicide legally is that a death that did not occur naturally. And so right now, we don't know what happened to Gabby Petito and whether or not she was murdered. She is a homicide victim, but she, at this time, based on where we are, and again, the lack of evidence here in this case at this time, there isn't enough here to rule this as a murder, that somebody murdered Gabby Petito. So that's the reason why this is a homicide investigation, not a murder investigation.
This does cross off any of the speculation theories that she had gotten lost out there and might have taken her own life. That is off the table, JB. This is not, like I said, not a natural death, not one in which she took her own life. Now it is a homicide investigation.
Sky here in the Facebook Live comment section, commenting here, hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJustin. We have so many commenters here. It's acting a little bit slow, but let's animate it. Hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJustin. Hasn't been released how Gabby was killed yet. Prayers from Virginia. And the answer to that is no. Cause of death yet to be revealed. That could be coming in the preliminary autopsy results at some point here, but not at this time.
Nope. It could take several weeks. Further analysis, potential toxicology results could take a little bit while. So again, we just know from the official release from the FBI in Denver that the coroner blue's initial determination for the manner of death is a homicide. The cause of death remains pending final autopsy results, which again, we've spoken to experts here this week at WFLA that it could take several weeks, if not months.
How about Chelsea Lamont here, hashtag HeyJB? I've been following this from the UK. Yeah, we've had a lot of commenters from the United Kingdom, and saddened by it all. Poor Gabby, sending love and strength to all of her family and friends and everyone in the United States. Let's get a lot of hashtag justice for Gabby comments going here as well, to Chelsea's point.
I did also want to mention today, I believe was the first time Governor Ron DeSantis weighed in on this case in pledging the request of Northport Police for my FWC, Fish and Wildlife Law Enforcement, to help assisting the search of Brian Laundrie. The governor tweeted, "I have directed all state agencies under my purview to continue to assist federal and local law enforcement as they continue to search." And he finished his tweet, JB, with, "We need justice for Gabby Petito." So that is the tweet from 1:30 this afternoon from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Some really great questions coming in here, folks. But I want to get to the Denise comment that I've been referencing here because it got a staggering amount of likes the moment that it was asked. Denise here, hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJustin. This is a hypothetical based question here. We have to caution our viewers here. This is hypotheticals. But Denise here asking, hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJustin, if they find Brian deceased, can they still charge his parents with some type of criminal behavior to protect their son?
Hypothetically, yes.
If they find evidence that they committed a crime.
There's aiding and abetting, obstruction, hindering the prosecution. There are all sorts of other auxiliary charges to those around the suspect. But again, at this point, Brian Laundrie remains, I want to be clear, a person of interest now in this homicide investigation. That is a great question, Denise. And again, there are other charges that accomplices or people who helped cover up information could face with the big if, JB, we get to that point. But a good question from Denise.
Let's take this one next here from Amanda Nielsen, hashtag HeyJB. Does the FBI physically have either of their phones in hand? As we understand, they don't have Gabby's phone.
Northport said they don't. I don't think the FBI has commented on. The FBI was obviously
they don't have Gabby's phone.
Tired to the vest.
Yeah. Based on the search warrant documentation, the phone has been powered off for some time, and they do not have Gabby's phone. Brian's phone. I mean, is there a chance that was collected during the search warrant that was executed? That would be news to us, but we don't know that. We do not know at this time the status of Brian Laundrie's phone.
But it goes back. Keep saying, JB. Without her phone or pinging it, they were able to find her so quickly.
Right.
I can't keep hammering home that point about the incredible work that all those agencies and search teams did to locate this young woman's body. 8 days, JB, 8 days without a phone to ping. That is, again, remarkable work by the federal and state law enforcement, the National Park Service, and again, all the people who've been sharing this story, submitting tips, reviewing their videos from the park around that time to be able to find her body in 8 days. Now bring Gabby home to her parents. It's not how they wanted this story to go at this point, but again, just tremendous work all around to locate her so quickly.
Lizzie Mashburn, hashtag AJB, hashtag AJustin, great work, thank you. Will the homicide ruling result in renaming Brian as a suspect instead of a person question, of Lizzie. Interest? What do you think?
At this time, they have not changed it. We have the press release here, Lizzie, we just got from the FBI, and at this point, it still refers to Brian Laundrie has been named a person of interest. So again, at this point, Lizzie, he is still a person of interest, not a suspect as of 6 o'clock here on Tuesday.
Once this, if this is determined to then be a murder, if this goes from homicide investigation to murder investigation, well, for a murder to have been committed, there needs to be a murderer. And if there is a murderer, there has to be suspects of murder. So what will happen next here is if this is determined to be a murder investigation at some point, if they have evidence that there was a murder here that was committed, we then have perhaps an elevated chance of going from person of interest to suspect, or we just have evidence that comes forward, that comes to light here in this investigation that incriminates Brian as somebody who's involved directly with Gabby Petito's death. At this time, they don't have, if that was the case, if they had something, he would be, I would imagine that the FBI is just waiting with bated breath here to name him a suspect here in this case. They're getting tons of questions. They're getting tons of inquiries, person of interest, suspect. I'm sure that they are ready once, of course, they have the information in front of them that leads them to believe that they can, of course, name him a suspect, but they can't right now. They can't.
They don't know where he is right now.
They don't know where he is.
You said before, the next primary thing in this investigation is for the crews on the ground. I just obviously read the tweet from the governor that the state is pledging to help with this, that law enforcement wants to find this man, and whether or not he is alive or not, we don't know, but they want to find him, JB, and that remains the focus of the investigation, is to find Brian Laundrie.
Let's get to some more questions and comments here from Kathy Johnson. Hashtag HJB, where are they focusing their searches tonight? Right here, Carlton Reserve near Venice, Florida. And we're showing you this video. This is video that was sent our way. There's a combination of some shots here that we can show you from Northport Police Department. Northport Police sending this out here to us a short time ago.
From FWC, other state agencies assisting with this.
You'll see some Eagle 8 HT, our news chopper, when we were over the scene. You can see some video there earlier. You can see the ATVs, the drones, the dogs, everything that's being used. But Carlton Reserve, punch it into your Maps application on your phone, whether you use Google Maps or Apple Maps. Just
what do you think I'm doing right now, JB? Punch it
in, and go to satellite view, and you will see how enormous of an area this is to search. And you can find exactly where on satellite view, where the search is going on. And you'll see that it is look, this is what you'll see, a vast, vast area of many, many trails that you're seeing here, waterways that are not interconnected because it's a swampy area.
And it's been rainy down there. I mean, I was down there Friday night, was almost monsoon rain, so we know the weather, JB, has not helped this investigation, made it more muddy, overflowing streams, waterways, so that is only making this search that much more difficult for law enforcement there in the Carlton Reserve, which is really not too far away from where the Laundrie home is in Northport.
Kathy Johnson, thanks for your comment there. We'll keep some of this search video up here on your screen. This is from earlier today here in Northport, or excuse me, at Carlton Reserve, the Myakkahatchee area. That's of course, near Venice, Florida, if you're looking on a map right now. Jillian Lewandowski, hashtag KJB. What aspects of an autopsy lead to the confirmation of a homicide? And this is something, these are now, you're going to see so many news stories and you're going to see so many articles and posts about medical experts coming forward now as to lending their expertise as to what leads a medical examiner's office to determine how they go from finding, a person, the remains of a person being brought into their office, to an examination of those remains, to then being ruled a homicide here. And we just don't know. There could have been markings. There could have been
signs of trauma.
There could have been lacerations. There could have been heavy bruising. There's all of these. There could have been fractures or complete breaks. There are all of these, and not to be too grim and gruesome here, we understand that the context of the matter here, that's really heartbreaking to hear of Gabby Petito perhaps suffering from some of these injuries that would result in her death. But this is again the subject matter that we're talking about here, and we're talking about what leads to the confirmation of a homicide, and that's what a medical examiner's office looks for: evidence of a homicide based on what they have directly in front of them, unadulterated, unfiltered, not ignoring all of the media, the media coverage and all the constant social media speculation. They just examine the body in front of them, and they use the clues that they have in front of them to determine what is the cause of death and whether or not they can rule it officially as a homicide.
And again, the exact wording in the press release was, it said, Coroner Blue's initial determination for the manner of death is homicide. So again, the investigation is not done, but his initial determination, again, JB, that this young woman's death was a homicide.
Thank you, Jillian, for your comment. Claudia Burrell, #HJB, has the time or date of death been revealed? I'm very grateful for this comment here from Claudia, because that is also a key piece here, is determining
the timeline. Yep.
The timeline. Justin, the timeline's key. So there are tactics and methods, and of course the science that we have here at our disposal as far as the medical examiner's office, Justin. They can examine a body and give an estimated window, a time frame as to when.
That's
a person
again why
was
it's
deceased.
so important. They found her so quickly, that it wasn't out there. I mean, if they keep focusing on JB, the August 27th through August 30th, those 3 days, 2 days after the 30th, September 1st. A day and a half drive later, the white van is spotted on a license plate reader at 10:30 a.m. on September 1st, getting all the way back here to Southwest Florida to Northport. So they keep honing in on those dates, the 27th to the 30th. We know, JB, we aired some video here. It was the Red, White, and Bethune bloggers claimed to have spotted the van in this camp area on the 27th, which is right at the start of that 3-day window there. So again, it's looking like it would be in that 3-day window, JB, given the FBI's focus on sightings or tips from those days. But that is a great question, and imagine, Claudia, that will be part of the further investigation from the coroner's office out there in Wyoming.
We got some great comments that are coming in here, and a lot of them. Hey, YouTube. Hey there, Twitter. Hey there, Facebook. And again, a lot of I've been trying to field some comments and questions from my WFLAJB Instagram account, just wanting to have as many people here, as many viewers as possible, have access to this story. You have a right to know what we know. You have a right to know what the world knows here. And again, we're just trying to feature as many of your comments across as many social media platforms here as possible. Tara Rose Ewing, #HeyJB, #HeyJosh. Josh Benson was on earlier. What happened to the unconfirmed sightings in Alabama? There was an unconfirmed some sightings of a potential, Brian Laundrie sighting in Mobile County, Alabama. We told you about that yesterday. There was then a body that was found behind a Walmart in Tillman's Corner, Alabama. This is an area I know very well because I lived there for 5 years. It's an area, Mobile County was my home for 5 years. I know it very well. It's where I would go on to meet my wife. I know that area very, very well. And there, of course, the body that was found in Tillman's Corner, of course, you would have known by now, was not Brian Laundrie. It was a different case. And as far as the numerous sightings here, let's again just remind folks that Brian Laundrie doesn't have all that too many rare physical characteristics here. He has a shaved head. He's got facial hair.
23 years old.
Somewhat lanky. 23
I don't think he's
years
that tall.
old.
I think he's only 5'8", 5", right? I don't think he's that tall.
He matches the description of a lot of men out there, and that makes it, of course, difficult because that means a lot of tips come in from different places across the country, especially the southeastern United States, where, of course, the story is really focused in. And a lot of people could say, "Oh my," because we're so on heightened alert with this story. You see somebody that somewhat looks like Brian, and they go immediately, is that him? And then they send it into their local police department, and then the police department has to investigate. And I believe that that's what's been happening in Mobile, Alabama.
So, you know, yesterday,
also really quickly, Justin, there was also the picture that came out today, the picture from Okaloosa County, Florida, from Baker, Florida. It was a trail cam image, and I want to address those comments here. The trail cam image, I said it on stream earlier. I looked at that image.
I didn't think it was him.
I saw zero resemblance. Maybe it's because I'm so honed in on to Brian's facial characteristics here, but even a side profile shot in black and white, I looked at it and I said that doesn't look like Brian to me. And I think it's been determined at this time that there's no credible lead there as to that being Brian Laundrie in Oklahoma.
What I wonder, I don't have the answer, JB, is they didn't search the reserve, the Carlton reserve yesterday, but they did go back out today. So I wonder what changed in that dynamic that they kind of refocused this search effort you're looking at with the ATVs and the things on the ground there and by the air. Also, JB, you may have known yesterday, I did try to swing by Brian Laundrie's sister's home in Lakewood Ranch.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
I spoke to a neighbor who told me the previous night would have been Sunday night, that the night after the body was found, that law enforcement did stop by the sister's home in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, about 30-40 minutes north of Northport, near the Sarasota area. Again, this is from a neighbor account. There was also a reporter from another network who was kind of staking out the house, and she had videos showing that police did show up yesterday to go in and deliver something to the sister. So again, that the sister is also on the radar of the investigation based on that neighbor account and just knowing what this other reporter had shared with me, some of the videos. So there have been questions about what the sister might know as well. She went on a network saying she hadn't spoken to him. This is a misunderstanding. Obviously, the nature of this investigation has changed dramatically since that interview. But as of yesterday, when I knocked on the door, JB, we could hear the dogs. But Brian's sister, Cassie, did not want to come speak to me.
You would have had a story to tell if we had, if that had been, of course, a successful venture for you there, Justin.
We tried.
It's difficult to get people to talk about this story, even people that have no connection to this story. Yeah. Now you're thinking, JB,
even just talking to the neighbor there.
Are you crazy? I mean, you're featuring comments. Yeah, but we feature comments on WFLA now, and there could be neighbors here in this comment section. But
no, see the neighbor to the sister, even just talking to her off camera, JB, she said she had a daughter around the same age, was so moved and kind of shaken by this story. I think it's resonating with a lot of folks who have, children, especially in that age range, and just I think she appreciated me come by, tell her why there was media in the neighborhood there, and again, we'll see if that any more developments happen with Brian's sister.
Diana here, #AJB, #AJustin. My prayers for Gabby's family. We mourn with you. I came across her when they started videoing their trip.
Oh, wow.
Was shocking and sad. Then
Diana, where were you? We know they stopped somewhere. I believe it was in Missouri or somewhere in the Midwest on the way out there. So if Diana could share more with us, that would be fantastic. And we know, JB, part of this unraveling awful situation is that they posted so much on Instagram. And we know the last day she posted a photo with Brian was from the Arches National Park, which is the same day as the much talked about police incident caught on body camera. We got that 911 call yesterday saying that the caller saw Brian, get physical with Gabby. So if Diana's still on there, just curious where she might have seen this couple. We know they called their trip, JB, the #VanLife, going out on this adventure. She was trying to build a website. Obviously had stunning photos from some of the most spectacular national parks across our country is on her Instagram following. We've also talked about that following has grown tremendously since, people commenting and looking at the beautiful photos she was able to share before something awful happened on this road trip.
I want to make a point here. Just kind of hopping off of some of the things that we were talking about earlier here. There is an overwhelming amount of #AJB, #AJustin comments. We've had some folks that have contacted us over the phone saying, why won't JB take my comment? Why is JB ignoring my comment? And we are not ignoring comments here. It's just that there is such a staggering volume of them that we could be live for the next month and not get to half of them. I mean, that's the truth. Across all the social media platforms that we're currently live on, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, trying to also take questions from Instagram here as well on my WFLA JB Instagram account. There's just no, I preach patience here for people. What we're trying to do is, if you bring up a point, maybe another commenter here, we're trying to pool as many of these themes as far as the questions and the inquiries that are coming in as possible, so that we can cover as many topics here as possible. So I know that there are a lot of folks that are frustrated that we haven't been featuring their comments and their questions here, but we're doing our very best. Doing our very best to get to as many as possible, and we'll try here to get to more in a more expeditious fashion here as far as the comments that are coming in. On that note, Lee Muller, hashtag HJB, hashtag HJustin. Everyone is focusing on blaming the cops and the FBI when everyone should be focusing on hashtag justice for Gabby Petito. This is the point that I was making earlier.
You can't go backwards. It's how's this investigation move forward? How can law enforcement track down Brian Laundrie?
And I want to, yeah.
And if there are any more folks who are in the area out there in Wyoming who may have heard something, seen the couple, seen the van, that this investigation is not over in the FBI. I know you read this. I'm just going to read it again, JB.
Sure.
I mean, you read the quote from FBI Denver Special Agent in Charge, Michael Schneider. The FBI's commitment to justice is at the forefront of each and every investigation. The FBI and our partners remain dedicated to ensuring anyone responsible for or complicit in Miss Petito's death is held accountable for their actions. Mr. Brian Laundrie has been named a person of interest. Anyone with information concerning Mr. Laundrie's role in this matter or his current whereabouts should contact the FBI. That number, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Also, the tip line, tips.fbi.gov. Just wanted to reiterate that message from the special agent in charge of the FBI office in Denver, Michael Schneider, that the FBI remains committed to holding anyone accountable who is responsible for Gabby's death.
Let's continue on here with the questions that are coming in. Taylor Jean, hashtag HeyJB, thank you for your dedication, support, and for bringing us live updates on this case. Hashtag justice for Gabby, hashtag America's daughter, hashtag for prayers for Petito family, hashtag Gabby's law. Thank you, Taylor, for bringing this up, because this brings me to my next point here. This wouldn't be the first time that we learn something about how we can approach tragedies like this and improve so that tragedies like this don't happen in the future. We were talking on a stream several days ago about everyone's heard of an Amber Alert. Well, do you know that the origin of Amber Alerts? Well, the Amber Alert system was put into place because of enough tragedies that had occurred. And this could be one of those stories that spurs action from our legislators, from Congress, from our state reps here in Florida. There could be down the line here. I could see a scenario, of course, where they try to prevent this sort of tragedy from happening again, or at least put into place some form of policy that allows there to be justice in a more expeditious fashion. We're still here now. It's September 21st, and Brian Laundrie is still a person of interest. Is there anything that could have been done sooner to bring resolution to this case and to pursue justice sooner without compromising the rights of Americans, without compromising the integrity of the U.S. Constitution? Is there something that can be done? Is there a law? Is there technology? Is there policy? Is there 2021 modern law enforcement tactics or law enforcement policy that can be enacted down the line that gives us the ability to prevent future tragedies like this? So hashtag Gabby's law. Taylor's thinking just how I'm thinking just exactly how I'm thinking, that while there's a lot of people out there that are quick to criticize local law enforcement here in Florida, or criticize just law enforcement in general here for their handling of this case, perhaps there's good that comes out of this case, because to Justin's point, Justin, you're right on. You can't go back in time. We can't bring Gabby back to life. We can't. Northport police and detectives and investigators there, they can't go back in time and reverse where they were and say, oh my goodness, if we had known this a week ago, we would have done this. We're beyond that point now. We have to look forward here, and perhaps that's what's going to happen here in the days ahead. And if, again, your voice means something to everybody watching. You can call your Congress representative. You can call your representative in the state Senate or in the state assembly or in the state house, wherever you're watching from in your particular state. You can demand that there be change if you think that there is change that can help us prevent tragedies like this from occurring in the future. So, but that is a conversation for down the line. I'm just glad that Taylor here gave us the opportunity to bring up this conversation, because it's a good way to channel our energies and our frustrations towards future solutions rather than the current problem. Let's get to some more comments here. Lindsay Firster, #AJB. It's been almost an entire week since they retrieved the Mustang from that location. Why are they not entertaining the idea that Bryant could be elsewhere? Let's talk about the Mustang, Justin. The Mustang, of course, was towed, and it's been almost an entire week since they retrieved the Mustang. Now I might be
saying that they brought it back from the park because the parents account.
Oh, right, from the park, right? That's I thought they meant towing it from the scene. So thank you.
Yeah, but it was taken away from the scene. I believe it was yesterday they towed it, right? I'm getting days blended in, but that they said he went to the park in the Mustang. They retrieved the Mustang. He didn't come home, and now the Mustang has now been taken off for evidence. So that is just another piece of this puzzle, JB, as investigators look through that vehicle too for any clues or signs.
Lindsay, thanks for your comment here. Again, we're trying to just get the conversation moving here as quickly as possible. Sydney, #AJB. If the lawyer is in contact with Brian,
which we don't know.
Is he obligated? Big hypothetical. If the lawyer is in contact with Brian, is he obligated to aid the FBI in tracking him down?
He did acknowledge in the statement canceling the press conference that he did speak to the FBI last night. We don't know what Mr. Bertolino said, but in canceling today's planned news conference in New York, the attorney for the Laundrie family did acknowledge he had some contact with the FBI. We don't know if that was his first contact with them, but there was some communication, we know, yesterday between the FBI and Mr. Bertolino, the Laundrie family attorney.
Some great questions coming in here. Our YouTube and our Twitter and our Facebook audience, your questions and your comments help more than you'd realize as far as carrying the conversation forward here and not backwards. And so I just like to, there's so many great ones that are coming in here that are in our queue that we're going to punch up here in a moment. Continue to use #HeyJB, #HeyJustin, and yes, share to help. This is still a story. You'd think that everyone on the planet has heard of this story, but quite frankly, that's not necessarily the case. And again, now that we have a homicide investigation that is underway, you can make a difference as far as sharing out Brian's face, Brian's images, as far as getting to the result of that missing persons case first, because he's the sole person of interest in Gabby Petito's homicide investigation.
This really has taken off, JB. It's an international story. Just one little anecdote, being down there last night at the memorial. If you saw some of the photos, JB, there's this really beautiful tribute memorial outside City Hall for Gabby Petito. There were a few local TV crews there. I happened to meet a reporter, JB, with German TV.
Interesting.
We know reports from UK. I mean, this story really has become an international one, and there is international media has also descended on Southwest Florida to help share this story and get that out there. But I'm curious to see. I know we have a crew down there. I believe Melanie Michael is down there tonight, JB, but to see what the memorial might look like tonight. If there'll be any, I don't know of anything happening, but just given there were a few people trickling by last night, lighting candles, several photos of Gabby, some other flowers being left there. I'm curious that I was told from Sunday to Monday, the memorial there had doubled. So I'm curious what that might look like tonight, JB, after the sad confirmation today.
How about this one here from Ashley, #HeyJB. Are they planning to continue the search overnight, especially with the governor's tweet lending more resources? Phenomenal
I don't know if they
question.
go overnight, just given the terrain, and darkness is never a friend. But Ashley, I would imagine if today's searches were not fruitful, we haven't got any word they found anything, I'd imagine that they could be back out there tomorrow. And again, you have FWC sending in assets and resources to help Northport with this ongoing search of that wildlife area.
FWC, a state agency here, and we have, of course, now the governor of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, committing any state resources that he can to assist in the search for Brian Laundrie.
And in his words, to get justice for Gabby. That was the words from Governor DeSantis.
Sarah Beck Jordan, #HeyJB. Gabby's story has touched the entire world. And I've been calling for more #Justice for Gabby comments here, and you guys, of course, have followed suit, because we're all in the same we're all thinking the same thing here. There needs to be justice for Gabby here. And thank you to Sarah for your comment. Gene H, hashtag hey JB, hashtag hey Justin. Surely they know how Gabby has died. Why keep it from everyone? This is just so sad. Justice for Gabby is the hashtag. Sending love from Northern Ireland. Megan Scott, hashtag hey JB. What happens if he has already left the area? Are they searching other places? Right now we know that let's talk about the search. The search is a lot of the search falls on the public here. This is why we're not asking you to share, to help here, because we want this to just continue to rack up shares. I don't lose any sleep if this gets 1,000 shares, 2,000 shares, 3,000. It's all about exposing this story to as large of amount of an audience here as possible, so that more people know to be on the lookout for Brian and a person matching Brian's description. Now, are they searching other places? The public is looking. The public is on the lookout, but they are searching right here in the center of your screen, Carlton Reserve, near Venice. They must have some information that leads them to believe that this is where most, if not all, of the resources here that they have as far as an active grid search is focused here on Carlton Reserve near Venice. So are they searching other places? That, I think, falls on us. It falls on us as far as searching in other corners of Florida to find Brian Laundrie. Here's a great question from Kyra Miller. Hashtag hey JB. How long do you think the FBI will be searching in that area for Brian? How long will they comb through this area? Justin, what do you think?
I wish I knew, JB. We know they called it off yesterday, but they were obviously back out there in a different section of this wildlife area, a little further west into the Venice side. So I know we have crews down there. If we could check in at some point with Allison Henning, our colleagues on the ground there. But again, they brought out a lot of resources today, a lot of law enforcement officers by air, by ground, and we will obviously await. Northport Police put out an update first thing this morning. JB, I imagine Josh Taylor will provide some update either later tonight or tomorrow morning about whether or not this search does indeed resume there. But again, FBI still seeking help from you, the viewers, the public, anyone with information on Mr. Laundrie's whereabouts, any potential sightings. There's been a lot of here or there, maybe sightings we've talked about, JB, in other parts of the state, in other states, but these tips, it could be that one that leads the FBI and law enforcement to find Mr. Laundrie, and we will obviously stay on top of any further developments as the FBI tries to find him.
Again, engaging our audience on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, trying to get some in here from Instagram here as well. Kyra, thanks a lot for your comment. I remember the spokesperson or the person that was interviewed today at the scene saying something to the effect of, we're going to try to search the entire area. And that's a tall order given the size, scope, and vastness and the terrain of this area.
Wet, muddy it's been, the rain down there. It's no easy task that FWC, Northport PD are going through down there.
Tammy, hashtag hey JB. Tammy, you'll have to forgive me if I don't try to pronounce your last name, because I will likely butcher it, and so I'll spare you that and just say Tammy, hashtag hey JB. By now, he looks like he might have changed, more scruffy, maybe a beard and unkept hair. That helped him disguise himself. I want to jump off at this point and bring up one of the brilliant comments that we had on our afternoon stream here, Justin. Yeah. Somebody mentioning, hey, we're still in the COVID-19 pandemic. And no one would blink an eye if somebody was walking outside with a hat, sunglasses, and a mask on. And then how do you identify the person? How do you know that's Brian Laundrie? A few years ago, 2018, 2019 even, it would be weird if somebody was just walking around outside or walking inside of a Walmart with a hat on, sunglasses, and a mask.
Yep.
But now that's not normal. It's normal to be kind of hiding in plain sight and behind a mask, at least, because people wear masks everywhere they go. And a lot of people still, obviously a lot of people still do, despite, rising vaccination rates here in this country. People still wear masks. And that is a 2020, 2021 twist to this story that could make it more easy for Brian Laundrie to escape the public eye as far as the mask.
There are more cameras everywhere, JB.
That's true, too.
We know he's potentially dealing with a wilderness area, but again, we go back to, I've hammered this point on so many times, how the videos and tips from the public helped them locate her so quickly. So they're going to be looking any cameras, any highway. I mean, we talked about the Mustang, JB. I imagine they're going back through any highway cameras, any gas station cameras or whatnot. That is all part of this ongoing investigation by the FBI and Northport Police to try to piece any possible areas where this young man went. Especially, I go back to those days between the 1st and the 11th. Where could he have been in that 11-day window where you got all the way back here to Florida? Your fiance, this young woman, did not come back with you. Now she's a homicide victim. Where was he for those 11 days before the family finally reported her missing?
Drew Powell's #AJB. This may be why the dogs cannot get a scent there? ? And I'd be really curious. One of the questions that I would ask, there's been a lot of questions that have come up here pertaining to the search efforts. If I could ask questions directly to the FBI here, and of course we don't have that type of access because the Federal Bureau of Investigation is difficult to access.
I did get a response
more difficult to access than Northport Police.
I sent them one very specific question yesterday, JB.
You didn't get a response, did you?
I did get a response. It was a non-answer response saying we're going to put out our statements. But the question I had asked was that video we talked about from the family bloggers. I just said a yes or no question. Did this particular video help lead you to the discovery of the body? And I got we're not going to answer that. But they did respond from the office in Denver. But we do know that video came out overnight Saturday into Sunday within 12 to 18 hours before they did make that discovery.
And just a bit of reporter's insight here. You'll have more luck getting answers to questions like the one that Justin asked from your local friendly neighborhood police department rather than the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
100%.
But one of the questions, back to the questions I would ask, the question that I would ask is today, was there any indication that the dogs picked up on any scent? Was there any clues that led us to believe that Brian is in fact in this area? Did the dogs pick up on anything? And the other question that I would ask, because we've just been inundated with this next question pertaining to technology, is thermal imaging, aerial searches part of the equation here, part of the strategy? Can they bring in a thermal imaging camera on a chopper? I know Hillsborough County has one. Can that chopper aid in the search efforts here? Can they continue the search efforts overnight using thermal imaging cameras? And these are questions that we would love to ask, and we can ask, but we're going to get, of course, the nondescript kind of answers. And we'll try. We'll continue to try.
I just nothing really new from Northport Police. They did retweet the press release from the FBI. Nothing on Josh Taylor's page. So I'm just going through the accounts we've been checking repeatedly these last couple of days. Nothing new from Mr. Petito's page out at this point, JB. Just that photo from the other day with hashtag broken heart, hashtag Gabby Petito. She touched the world.
Dwayne Crumlich, hashtag AJB, hashtag AJustin. If, and I'm saying if, thank you, Dwayne, Brian is found, tried, and guilty, does that open his parents to suspects as well? Only if.
We've kind of touched this a little bit. That
earlier.
Could be related crimes.
There's the evidence that they committed a crime and aided him.
Or aided him. But we touched on another good question, Dwayne, and just again, wait and see at this point. And we keep saying over and over again, the investigators know more than they are telling us at this point, and there's still a lot of questions you all want answered that we all want answered here as journalists here at WFLA. But the time will come where we will learn much more about this case. I go back to that search warrant yesterday, JB. Even that little search warrant had a few more nuggets that came out, such as that very concerning text that Nicole Schmidt, Gabby's mother, received back on the 27th, something about referring to Stan, her grandfather. There was also, JB, one other line that jumped out to me. You may have touched this on one of your live broadcasts yesterday, where the search warrant made a comment about kind of the relationship having, hold your thought, JB. I'm going to go find the exact, I don't want to misquote it. I'm going to go look for that document right now. But there was one more quote that did jump out to me in that search warrant from yesterday.
Take some more questions here in the meantime, and a lot of hashtag AJB, hashtag AJustin comments here in the queue. We'll come back to this one here from Chef Lena Price. Kayla Smothers, hashtag AJB. Kayla is almost taking me verbatim here, because I've gone on this impassioned rant, if you will, earlier here on our broadcast. I just in disbelief here, and Kayla might be quoting me here because Kayla is just in lockstep with how I'm thinking. Hashtag HJB, how can you go missing in 2021? Are any of the sightings confirmed, or do we just know if they are being looked into further? Of course, none of the sightings are confirmed. No agency in the country is going to say until they are 100% sure that this is in fact Brian Laundrie. He was spotted. We know he was here.
And we know there's a lot out there. And that's why, JB, I think hopefully over these last few days, our audience knows they can trust you, myself, and others, that we will stick to the facts. We will look to verify as best we can the reports that are out there before we share information. I did find that quote from the search warrant that Gabby's mom had told investigators, quote, "There appeared to be more and more tension between her and Laundrie during the course of this road trip." I know we've talked so much about the incident in in Utah, where you just saw how distraught she was, and that there was this image being portrayed of them out on this road trip, adventurous van life, that the warrant suggested that parents might have had a little concern, not that we get to this point, but that there might have been some more tension in this relationship between these two young adults.
We're going to be going till 7:00 Eastern. Justin, is that all right? I think here on the broadcast.
I'm here to help you out, man. We're here, and we know so many people have taken interest in this story, and just you've done a great job these last few days, JB, just sorting through all these twists and turns, and I know the viewers do appreciate it, and we're here to answer his questions as best we can. And again, just to get this story out there, because like I said, now it's hashtag justice for Gabby, and the investigation is not over. Finding Brian Laundrie remains a top priority for law enforcement, and story's far from over.
Let's get to this one here from Chef Lena L. Price. Hashtag AJB. Is it confirmed that he was actually at his parents' house on the 1st?
So what we know exactly, because I read in the documents, a license plate reader at 10:26 a.m. on September 1st picked up the white van with the Florida plate, the van we've seen throughout this from the road trip, exiting the Sumter Road exit, getting off 75 into Northport. I did that drive yesterday to the house. It's maybe about a 5-minute drive from there to get to where 5 to 10 minutes to where the Laundries live. And police have said the van was recovered there. So it is, he'd have had to drop it off. We don't know how much longer he might have been there, what conversations happened. These are all the $1 million questions that we want answered, the investigators want answered, is what exact communication happened if Brian was there with his parents that day, JB. But again, we do know the license plate reader did pick up the white van at the center of this investigation, returning to Northport, Florida. How many miles we said from what? I mean, it's like a 38 hour drive.
35 hours
drive from the Tetons back to.
But that's a misnomer, because you can't drive 35 hours straight. So
if he would have stopped, this van was equipped to have a bed to stay in it. So there's no, he could have just pulled over and slept somewhere, presumably. But 10:30 on September 1st, around that time, that is when Northport police say the van got off the highway and entered the city of Northport, September 1st.
And again, the van was at the home. The van was there.
And we've had remember one of the first stories we did last Monday, the neighbor was on camera saying he saw them tow that white van away the night of September 11th. This was hours after the family reported her missing in Suffolk County, New York. So within hours of that missing person report on Long Island, police in Northport were notified relatively quickly, and by later that evening, they had recovered this van. And we now know, since they have got a search warrant to go through an external hard drive, in addition to where they were able to search and try to find any evidence in that van last week.
How about this one from Leah Brewer? Hashtag AJB, hashtag AJustin. Is there a chance they won't release the cause of death until after they find Brian and are able to question him? I don't necessarily believe that this is on that. I see them as separate. What about you, Justin? As far as the autopsy
I would lean towards them being separate, that they will still take some time to go through and figure out exactly what might have happened to her. So it's a good question.
Let's not forget what I said earlier, that it is a medical examiner's job to be completely separate from any and all distractions. Their sole focus is on the remains in front of them and determining the cause of death, determining the identity, determining the cause of death, and filing a complete and accurate report for that autopsy. So, and then of course that becomes public record as we understand it. So then, or record that of course then can be obtained by the public. So, I don't think Talia's question here, I believe is, and I understand it, that the two are separate, that one is not going to impede the other from happening. Let's get to Christy Suba. Hashtag hey JB, hashtag hey Justin. A lot of hashtags here. Say your name, Gabby Petito, justice for Gabby Petito, domestic violence awareness. Sending all my love and prayers to Petito and Schmidt and families. And this is something I was talking about with somebody on my WFLA JB Instagram account today, while we had a little bit of a lull in the action here, a lull in our live streaming schedule. This is an opportunity here for us to really have conversations about exactly what Christy has here in her final hashtag, domestic violence awareness. This is an extremely difficult conversation to have, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be having that conversation. I know I've received private messages from people imploring me and begging me to have more of a conversation here about domestic violence and how common it is and how much it can completely destroy lives, and how we need to raise awareness to domestic violence. And I think that this is really becoming a story where we can use this as an opportunity now to have these conversations, and those conversations will be had.
I think also one thing is checking on your loved ones.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, these parents are going through probably the most difficult time in their lives. I know, as Mr. Petito said, his only daughter. Checking on your loved ones. If you have concerns, there are resources out there in most jurisdictions, cities, counties, with domestic violence places to go. People who know more than me and you, JB, how to try to help to get out of these relationships, and also, the onus on us as guys to treat women right. And I've seen comments about that as well, and that we all have this responsibility how we treat each other, and to look out for your loved ones. And if there is concerns of something not being right, don't be afraid to speak up and try to get that person the help and try to find a way out. And so I do appreciate the comment from Christy. I hope what I said just made sense, JB.
It does, of course. And if you see something, say something.
Yeah. I know it's not.
And this caller, the caller did that. As far as
saw something that was out of the norm, was, we know from the call appeared to be reported Mr. Laundrie hitting Gabby, and police did respond. They chalked it up to being a mental health crisis there, but they were called. They were separated that night. But again, Christy, I think it's when you talked about trying to whether Gabby's law to move things forward, just again that to know that resources are out there, and we know, look, it's been a difficult couple of years for a lot of people, JB, putting stress and strain on relationships and people. But I know it's just check on the ones you love, and just know you're there to support them and hopefully get them the help they need if they're going through an abusive relationship.
There are people out there that are wondering, why does it take tragedy for us to have these conversations? I know that.
Yeah,
I know that. It's a sad fact that a lot of times tragedy has to occur for the right conversations to be had to prevent future tragedies, and we understand that.
But in our business, we do see where sometimes something awful, there is good that can emerge from it, and we're having this conversation now, and won't be the last we have this type of conversation in relation to this just terrible tragedy for the Gabby Petito family.
And it's one that we can encourage a conversation to be had around the world. We have people that are watching here from Europe, from Asia. We've had people from Australia, a lot of commenters joining us from around the world. And it's domestic violence and domestic violence awareness is not a conversation for the United States exclusively. It's a conversation for the world, and it's one that we can implore people to have the right conversations and to make progress so that we as a society can be better. And I hope that we can be better in the future.
And there was one I saw the onus, being on men to do the right thing and treat women correctly. I mean, I've seen comments like that, and the responsibility is on all of us, JB, and
yeah, it's on every one of us.
Yeah,
to do our part and raising awareness for an issue that has gone that hasn't received enough attention for far too long. I think we can say the least. Wow.
What would you?
Brandy Harris.
Wow.
Hashtag HeyJB. What would you say to Brian if he was watching you? We had a comment on earlier asking, is there any chance that Brian has electronics and that he has access to the internet and has the ability to watch some of what we've been saying, or what the world has been saying, what the media at large has been saying. And I'll let you answer this question here too, Justin. But the first thing that pops into my mind is, where are you? Where are you? Is the first question that I would ask. Or I would maybe, instead of posing it as a question, how about, Brian, tell us where you are, would be the first thing that I would say. And then perhaps behind that, I would say, Brian, please come forward. Tell us where you are. Tell us what your version of this story is. Tell us what happened to Gabby. Come forward, speak, and don't do anything. Don't do anything dangerous to yourself, is what I would tell.
And look, this is already
Brian Laundrie.
I echo everything you said, JB. I mean, the number one thing is just tell us where you are. Come forward. Look, at this point, he still remains a person of interest. He is not charged with anything. He is not a considered wanted for anything. It is come forward. You'll be given your chance to share your side of the story, have any representation in court if need be. We get to that point, but I think that's the number one thing, Brandy, I think JB said, and I echo that, is just tell us where you are. Come home. You know, what the Petito Schmidt family is going through is unfathomable, is just heartbreaking, but it's not easy on his family either. And there's a lot of critics, speculation there, but you know, there's still people in his family who do care about this guy. That coming home, forward is probably the best thing to move this forward for everybody involved.
We don't have him named as a suspect yet. We don't have him. We don't know if there was a tragic accident that occurred on this road trip, a tragic accident where perhaps there was a domestic related incident and things got out of hand and he didn't mean for something to happen. These are all scenarios where we need to consider, again, what is in the realm of possible here.
But it's the silence the silence and lack of cooperation is what created this cloud of speculation.
Totally true. But instead of telling Brian, again, back to Brandy's question here, what would you say to Brian? I'm not going to scream at him on the phone and say, turn yourself in. I would just say, tell us where you are. Let's first and foremost, let's find you. And then there can be a conversation and then a process that then follows here. Is there anything else that you would like to add to Brandy's comment while we have it up here on screen before we move on?
I think you hit the hammer on the nail with that one. What I think any of us would want to say.
Delvin Gomez, #HeyJB. Do you think he might have changed his appearance, shaving his face, and had enough time to travel somewhere out of Florida? Man. Well, let's take the easy part of this question first before we take the hard part. The easy part is, do you think he might have changed his appearance? Oh, yeah. There's the absolutely possible, borderline likely that he has changed his appearance if he is trying to, of course, elude authorities and everything that with, reading between the lines here in the story, everything leads us to believe that yes, he is a man who does not want to be found. And if he doesn't want to be found, then of course you would change your appearance as much as possible to ensure that nobody finds you. And so I would imagine, but shaving his face, we've had a lot of pictures of him here with a clean shaven face. So, but what can you do to change your appearance? You buy a wig. It's hot in Florida. You don't want to wear a wig roaming around and Peel
made comments that he always seems to be kind of wearing the same type of thing. I know people have made that observation from some of the pictures and photos we saw of them on the road trip.
You can't and I want to bring up Ken's comment. Ken, that's not necessarily the case. Ken Locke is let me bring this up here because I want to address this. Ken Locke here, #HeyJB. This one just came in a second ago. It flashed on my screen. #HeyJB. You cannot say it might have been an accident. It officially has been declared a homicide. A homicide is the legal definition of a homicide is a death that occurs that isn't natural. So this could be a situation where, again, they get into a dispute and Brian goes to do something to Gabby, but not with the intent of killing her, So it could have been an accidental death, and then of course that can still be a homicide. It can still be a homicide if you go to harm somebody without the intent of killing that person, and then that person is dead as a result. So it still can be an accident based on what we know right now, based on the legal definition of what a homicide is. So let's all keep things into perspective here, Ken, because there's a difference between homicide and murder. And right now we have this as a homicide. That Gabby Petito died of homicide, she didn't die of murder. Now, murder is different from homicide.
If you get
and that was
levels
something
of
we
intent,
explained
there's
earlier.
different degrees there. First, whether how premeditated it was, how intentional it was, and that stuff will all sort itself out. But again, as we keep saying at this point, Mr. Laundrie remains a person of interest in this now homicide investigation.
So back to Delvin's comment here. Did he might have changed his appearance? Absolutely, that's possible. And did he have enough time to travel somewhere out of Florida? Walk us through the timeline here again, Justin, because is there any chance that he had the ability to just bounce out of Florida here and move on to another place?
That is clearly a possibility. Again, we're looking at this. The last known sighting of Gabby Petito, according to that search warrant, is August 27th. The FBI is focusing on those 3 days, the 27th to the 30th, still asking for tips from anyone who's in the Spread Creek dispersed camping area out in Wyoming. We know right away by September 1st, that van is tracked on the license plate reader to return here. We know the family did not report her missing till September 11th. So you're looking there, what, JB, an 11-day window from when the van gets back to when police shut up his family's door. And we don't know whether he was home there that night. We don't know where he was. Now it's turned to not just backtracking this cross-country van trip out in Wyoming, in Utah. It is investigators trying to piece together any known movements where this guy was between September 1st and to today, where his whereabouts are unknown.
Thank you for the comment here from, again, that was Delvin. Let's go to Morgan. Morgan Dvorak, #HeyJB. We use thermal and night vision in the Marine Corps. I know they can get the same technology, probably their best bet. We have seen thermal imaging technology here in Florida that it's not that whether or not we have it, it's whether or not and why it isn't being used here and utilized. And let me make this clear here too. We don't know that it's not being utilized. Walt Buteau made a brilliant point on stream earlier here, is that you don't, if there's the slimmest of chances that Brian Laundrie has access to the internet and has access to all the information that is out there, then the FBI isn't necessarily going to just put their strategy on a poster board and say, hey, this is how we're going to try to find you, Brian. Like, you know what I mean? So there could be thermal imaging. And is there a scenario there where Brian is hiding during the day and traveling by night, and telling the entire world that thermal imaging technology that would of course tip Brian off to not travel at night, and to, for the, you don't want to tell a person of interest when they're being sought after. You don't want to tell them exactly how you're going to try to find them. Otherwise, they can of course use strategies to not be found based on what they know of what law enforcement is using.
So I just pulled up. This was the email we woke up to this morning, 8 a.m. this morning, from Josh Taylor, Northport PD. Northport Police Department, along with our law enforcement partners, the FBI, Florida Wildlife Commission, FWC, Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, Lee County Sheriff's Office, Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, Sarasota Police Department, Venice PD, Canine Search and Rescue teams, and other government partners continue working to establish the whereabouts of 23-year-old Brian Laundrie, the fiance of Gabby Petito. Tuesday, today, they'll once again continue our search efforts in the Carlton Reserve, where Brian reportedly visited a week ago to go hiking. Again, this according to what his parents told police. This time moving in from the Venice side of the area along with adjoining lands. A weekend ground search, aerial search Monday of the 25,000-acre preserve has not yet yielded any answers. We must press on. Be aware that the Carlton Reserve is a vast, unforgiving location. We talked about the water, the weather, whatnot. So that was the official statement this morning about the search going on, as you're taking some aerial look at some aerial shots, and they're on the ground of the equipment being used to go through as many parts of that park as wildlife areas they can.
Haley Thurman, #HAB. We were talking about this earlier. She says, I just got out of a domestic violence relationship of 4 years. first and foremost. We never want anyone to be in a domestic violence a relationship with domestic violence. We know that it happens all too often, but I just want to take a shout out because it takes courage to just, to say this in a public forum like this.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you
Haley.
for sharing. And I'm happy that you are no longer in that relationship. And Haley, there will be more conversations about domestic violence in the future. And without question, based on, of course, the theme here in this story that has emerged. Marcia, this is the last call. We have another 5 to 8 minutes here to take your hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJustin comments here. So this is a final call here for those comments. File them in here in Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, and also in Twitter in the comment section here below. We'll try to get to as many here as possible. Marcia, hashtag HeyJB, if they find Brian alive, will they be able to bring him in for questioning if he's still just a person of interest, or will they just let him go home and be? There's the reality-based answer to this question, and then there's the legal answer to this question. Let's go over the legal question, the legal answer to this question here first for Marcia Cullinan joining us here, everybody, in our comment section. The legal response to this question is that if he is a person of interest, that they can't, nothing changes from where we were a week ago as far as he can invoke his right to remain silent. If he is a missing person here and they find a missing person, Brian Laundrie is a missing person. He's a person of interest, but he's not a suspect, but he's a missing person. I know it's convoluted, but bear with me. If they find him, he is a missing person in a missing person's case.
Is anyone surprised by this, that it was a homicide? I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised. Hey, what big guys? Hey, Kat.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, my gosh.
I was about to fall over when he said that. Oh, Lord.
No, it's not a surprise, but I mean, she was trapped on the road all that time with him. And trust me, there's going to be some creators out there that are going to turn this around and say, well, let's look at his side of things.
Yeah. Some of them have already been in the chat tonight, I think.
Yep. Blame the victim.
How can he be a victim? He's on the run, and the FBI said it's a homicide.
Yep. And I don't think they're looking at anyone else for it, are they?
Nope. I haven't heard another name. Have any of you
Nope.
guys?
Nope.
Yep.
So when are they going to call him a suspect?
Well, they did in that warrant when they went in for his hard drive. It said a suspect. It didn't say a person of interest.
Oh, okay. I never saw it because it was too small. I couldn't read it.
So, I don't know why the news reporter keeps saying he's still a person of interest. I guess we're going to have to send him a letter, huh?
If they came out and called him a suspect officially, then surely they could say that he was a fugitive from justice instead of just a person of interest.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm sure there's some fine technicality there why they're doing that.
Yeah, maybe.
I'd like to know, too. I think JB has spent a lot of time doing his hair rather than the news.
Oh, bless. JB's been talking for like 6 days straight. He must just be like, blah, blah, blah by now.
Oh, he's a cute kid. Okay, he is. But I mean, at this point, it's like when he gets confused at certain, and I couldn't do that job. Trust me.
No, neither could I.
Yeah, he's got problems. He's been on the air so long, his brain is fried.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
it's like literally his brain's dribbling now. It's just like, well, he doesn't.
It's like a weatherman in Oklahoma during tornado season. They grow a beard in 6 hours. It's crazy. Yes, he does have nice hair. Midnight, you're right. He does.
Yeah, and that other guy, Josh, was it? I thought they
Yeah.
went to the same hairdresser. It looked they look just alike. Did you notice that?
Exactly. Hang on one second. We got someone else coming up. Hey, how are you tonight?
All right. My theory
Hey.
on this subject is, what are they going to do? Get the mysterious person that kidnapped Summer to say that they murdered Gabby? I mean,
There's no
that's
telling.
just my thought.
I was wondering how long it would take
I
Donald Wells to
didn't even want
accuse
to
him.
say that, because that is just, this whole thing is this is craziness. How do you come back with the girl's van and not her? And
Exactly.
what
Nobody
makes me
noticed.
angry about the whole subject is he sat there, that man sat at his parents' house for 10 days. What the hell?
And then he disappears. They wait a few days to call the police.
Exactly. And here's what I'm thinking, okay? He did whatever he did to her. We're just going to say he left her where they found her, okay?
Yeah.
He was quiet all this time. Why? This is what I'm thinking. Okay, you're out in the wilderness, you're lying there, whatever. He left her there, whatever. The animals are going to eat and do what they need to do.
Hmm.
Maybe the longer you stay quiet, the harder it is to find her, and maybe they don't find her at all, and then he can still sit there and say, I don't know.
I think he told his parents when he got home.
Well, I think he might have told them before that, because they had a lawyer waiting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They lawyered up pretty quick, so I've got a feeling that they know exactly what's happened.
Yeah, but see, there's bear and all kinds of other animals out there.
I think they were scared because of his past behavior.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing, I don't know if anyone's seen this. Somebody looked up what Yosemite meant. It says that it means to someone that likes to kill.
What? I thought it was a national park or something.
It is a national park, but she wasn't found in Yosemite.
Right, okay.
No, but the text message said no signal in Yosemite.
Oh, I see the correlation. I see what you're saying.
Yes, I've been trying to figure this out for days.
Hey, Snow, what's going on?
Hey, girl, not too much.
Hey, Snow.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I'm just coming on to say, because I can't type this anymore, there is no way he is still a missing person.
No.
Like, his house was squatted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so many resources out looking for him.
I don't feel he's in the
doesn't make
country.
sense. There's no way he's still a missing person. They're only saying that because they don't want to scare him off even more.
Exactly.
They won't call him a wanted person because he'll never
Well,
come
see,
back.
here's the other thing. Hunting season is fixing to start, getting ready to start. So everybody's going to be checking their trail cams, and that trail cam, that was the cheapest trail cam known to man, because that was the worst picture ever. But people are going to start looking at their trail cams to see what animals are out there and see what they can hunt. If he's out there and he's not where they're looking for him, they'll find him. It just may take some more time.
Yep.
Do you think if they called him a suspect officially that people would pay more attention and look harder?
No.
Okay.
No. Everybody's devastated about poor Gabby.
I think that what they're thinking is because they, in my opinion, they messed up. They let him go. They let him run. They thought they knew where he was, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They had one job. The local authorities had one job.
Just one single job. That's all they had to do. And now look where they are at. So now they're going to do whatever they can to find him because they're in the wrong.
They got massive amount of egg on their face, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, not only that, if you listened earlier, Denver has come in on this. So Denver has apparently, they're the ones that found her. So I'm guessing they've seen a lot and they're a little upset.
Well, I just have to wonder if law enforcement there in Northport ever laid eyes on him since he got back with the van.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah, they said, well, we know where he's at, but whose word are they taking? Are they taking the parents' word? I mean.
Now, I can't confirm or deny this because I can't figure out. I seen a comment somewhere that said that Brian's mother was connected to the DA somehow.
Oh, I read that too. Yeah, I read that.
I haven't figured that one out, but that would make sense why they kept saying, oh, he's just a missing person.
Because she used to work for the DA, right?
I don't know. I don't know the connection there.
That's hearsay right now. We don't know if it's concrete, but that's what the word is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I can't figure that out, the connection there.
Well, I can't find any verification of that. I found where she was a secretary, maybe for a lawyer, but I can't find where she worked for a district attorney or anything. So.
And did I see today? I'm pretty sure I seen today somewhere on social media of Brian posting a video of him on the water.
Didn't show his face though. It was just a picture of water.
Was that from his account though, right?
Yeah, it was like for 30 seconds and blip, it was gone.
And then all of a sudden the search came back on real quick after that.
Yep.
How come no one's talking about that?
I don't think anyone has seen it because I haven't, but that would prove that maybe he's alive still.
And apparently he was deleting friends too from his
I heard that too.
That's what I heard. I didn't see that, but I did see the video of him on the water. But you guys are right. There was no face on the video. But who would do that?
Yeah.
Who would go on his video? Who would go on his account and make a video?
Did anyone think that he would really kill himself?
No.
Because I never believed he would.
Anything is possible because here's the thing. Does he really want to go to jail?
No. No. And his parents don't want that to happen either. At all. I mean, look at this.
In his mind, he probably thinks he's going to get away with it because he's gotten away with all kinds of behavior we don't even know about.
You're exactly right.
And Brian came home on September 1st, right?
Right.
Yes.
So what was he telling his parents where Gabby was this whole time? Like, they obviously, they lived with her. So they must have been like, oh, hey, Brian, where's Gabby? Like, they obviously knew something.
I think they knew before he got home. Somehow because when he got home, they had already got a lawyer.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think he called him from the road. Yeah.
So they know something. They just haven't said it.
I feel like they're protecting him. I feel like they've let him get a 4-day head start.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They're protecting him for the wrong reasons. I get they're his parents, but dang it.
They gave him 4 days of a head start, basically, to get wherever he wants to go or needs to go. I don't think they'd let him go if they thought he was going to kill himself. I think they've paid for him to go somewhere or given him money so that he can get away somewhere.
And I'm not too sure that the car in the park was not a ruse.
Yeah.
Or he met somebody at that park to pick him up.
Might have got an Uber.
And he got in a car.
Mm-hmm.
Or exactly. Who's to say that car wasn't driven there by someone else and it's all just a big hoax? That's what I'm saying. I don't even think they're searching in the right area.
No, I don't either. I think the parents have thrown them a red herring. They're sending them off the
when
right
they
scent.
said that the trail cam said Baker, Florida, if you look up the time it takes to walk from the park that they said he went to Baker, Florida, he could have made it and had a day to spare. If he left the parents' house on Tuesday, like they said.
And what if he had to driven through any tolls that would have cameras on the roads or anything? You would think, right? Florida has lots of toll roads, I believe.
They do. Well, no, I don't know about toll roads, but he leaves on Tuesday. You know that she was declared missing on Saturday. So he just strolls out and you don't even ask him where he's going?
No.
There is no way he has been camping out on those grounds this whole time.
No,
Oh, no. I'm not saying camping out. He left
No,
there
I'm
on
not
Tuesday.
saying that. I'm talking about his parents. They couldn't believe for a minute that he's been there the whole time.
Oh, they knew. Come on. They knew he wasn't there.
I know.
They must know where he is. I think they know exactly where he is. I think they planned a route for him, gave him the money, and off he's gone. I don't even think he's still in the country. That's just my personal opinion. I think he's gone somewhere.
Yep, I agree. I think the parents gave him a wad of cash, so it can't be tracked. And he's gone.
Well, see, and to be honest with you, he could have dumped the van on the first at mommy and daddy's house and then left.
And left straight away. Could have had all of this time as a head start, not just the last 3 to 4 days.
Exactly. And this whole time the police were saying, well, we know where he was. Well, maybe you don't. Because the longer he stayed quiet, the longer Gabby would stay missing, and the less likely there'd be evidence of anything.
Mm-hmm. So less likely he'd get caught.
Because if there's no evidence of anything and he comes back, you know, it's like, oh, I'm not a missing person. And what are you talking about?
It'd be interesting to see if they do find him, like what's going to happen. Like he's going to plead the fifth again, and is he just going to go home to bed and okay, well, we found him.
I think he'd be safer in jail.
Yeah.
Considering the campground across from their house, and I don't mean an actual campground, the people outside with bullhorns, screaming, "Where's Gabby?"
Yeah. Are the parents even still there? Like, it probably isn't safe for them.
It looks pretty empty.
I don't know, but I told my brother that there might be a cheap house for sale in Florida soon. He was planning on moving. With like a swimming pool in the backyard.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
I just wonder what is going through his parents' head.
They've got to be scared to death because, I mean, they're at a crossroads. Do I continue protecting my son, or do I tell them what I know to find him and get us out of trouble? Because there's no way they didn't know where he was from Tuesday to Friday.
Yeah, I agree. I think they know where he is.
No way that they didn't know something was going on when, when he showed up September 1st without Gabby. Did the parents call Gabby's parents and say, hey, you might want to look for your daughter? They had a fight and he's back here and she's not here.
No, according to what the father said, they would not answer the telephone, that they had to make public pleas because they would not answer any telephones.
Why would you not?
Yeah, exactly. Or you know what? Your son shows up with the van, be like, hey, Mr. Petito, we might have a problem here. My son just showed up, but your daughter didn't. I think we have an issue.
I think the kids are in a fight. You might want to get a hold of your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what normal people would do, you know?
Normal people. Yeah.
Well, I don't think the Laundries can stay in Florida much longer. They've only been there since 2015 because I looked that up too.
Well, they're so connected back to New York. I think they might even have a place up there. So
maybe it might be safer for them to go back to New York.
Am I right in thinking that because the guy isn't a suspect and because the parents aren't, that they won't be tracking their communications, the parents?
Oh my gosh, who is this person? Webcams.
I have no idea. I keep watching it over and over. I have an idea who it is, but
you're in the wrong show.
Yeah, we don't have time for things like that. It just keeps getting blocked and blocked and blocked. So we all know what we would do if our child showed up without their fiance. What I'm wondering is, what is going through Brian's parents' mind right now? And why are they jumping through so many hoops to dismiss Gabby?
Yeah, I don't understand that. That was getting ready to be their daughter-in-law.
Uh-huh.
And she had been living there for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
And it sounded like she was close with their family too, by the way. His sister spoke of her saying her kids love her and like she thinks of her as a sister. So it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
And see, that's what got me about the guy that kept the dude that kept coming out. He kept saying, well, Brian is a resident. Well, so was Gabby. Doesn't she have rights?
Yeah,
Right.
sure does.
Oh, the whole mess just so
My heart just breaks for her parents. Like, they were just hoping she'd come home safely and like she was safe, and it's just so heartbreaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that this was what they were thinking the outcome was going to be.
No.
I was hoping she'd come home safe, but there was just too much time and too much craziness.
Yeah. And no sightings of her or anything that gave anyone any hope, really.
Yeah.
No, none.
And she was so thoughtful. She would have never let her parents worry that long about where she was.
Yeah.
As soon
Well,
as
that's the other thing that bothers me. I figure if she would have called her father and said, look, there's some major problems, Dad would have flew down and rescued her. And I get that. But why didn't she call her father?
Because she's an abuse victim.
Yeah.
She's a victim of abuse. She's a victim of domestic violence. And that's when people keep secrets.
Yeah.
They cover up bruises. They make their relationship look better than what it is.
Yeah, you don't know the kind of horror that someone's going through and the threats that are being made to them if they talk or anything like that, really, in that kind of situation. So I guess she was probably pretty terrified to tell her parents what was going on.
Has there been anything mentioned about the police call about someone seeing him slapping her?
The 911 call came out yesterday.
Yeah. It's out.
So that just shows that there was violence in the relationship prior.
Yeah. Well, that 911 call precluded the traffic stop.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's when they're saying that someone hit her. I was thinking it was a different occasion that they were fighting and someone seen her hitting her.
From what I heard, it was the 911 call that alerted the police to the fact that he was hitting her, and so they started to follow the van. And that was the day of the traffic stop. That's what I read anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So he was.
Yeah, all that was on the same day.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! Like yeah.
So when they stopped the van, I think at first people were saying, "Oh, Gabby was the aggressor. Gabby was the aggressor." But what they didn't know was that the 911 call had just been made to say that he was actually hitting her, slapping her. I think it was, before they stopped the van.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she took the blame. She said
Yeah.
she got out of the van hysterical and carrying on and saying it was all her fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
that's
think because
typical.
she was afraid of being left.
Yeah.
She was afraid of him.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember, it was also said that he was trying to lock her out of the van at the store, wherever they were, where the person called 911.
Yeah.
It was obviously a very volatile relationship between them two. She was probably really terrified of being on the road with him, especially in quite isolated, remote areas as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far away from her family.
Yeah.
She did say in that video she suffers with anxiety.
Yeah.
That's scary. That's scary enough as it is.
Yeah.
Well, she suffers from anxiety and she's on the road
Yeah.
with him. threatening to leave her. She knows he's in control of everything. What can she do for herself? There's no separate vehicle.
No.
To get home.
As far as I can make out, the only night that they were actually separate was the night that he got sent to the hotel and she had to stay in the van on her own. I mean, I don't know what that's about.
No, there's a 3 or 4 day period when he got hopped on a plane and went back to Florida to supposedly move hers or his or somebody's stuff into a storage unit.
Okay.
Yep, that's when he left at the end of August, flew from Salt Lake City to Florida, and then he flew back.
So she wouldn't have been alive by then.
No.
And that is when she went and stayed at the a hotel.
The Fairmont Inn or something there. That's when her father sent her the Uber Eats.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he said he got her Domino's that night. Or while she was there.
So he flew back home and then flew back and got the van and drove back?
From what I gathered, he flew from Salt Lake City to Florida, moved some things, then flew back up. Then from there, they had the van, and they drove to Wyoming.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying now.
Well, see, that's another thing. Why was it so pressing that he had to run off to Florida to move things to a storage unit?
Exactly. Thank you. If you've got the money to fly like that on short notice, hire someone to move your stuff.
Or they were planning on coming back by the end of October, so couldn't that wait?
Yeah, the entire thing is beyond bizarre.
That's something weird with that.
It sounds like it might have. I'm just speculating here, everyone. But could have it been premeditated?
Oh, I'm thinking
that is what I'm thinking. It was more premeditated than we think.
Yeah, I think when things went down in Moab, I think he got really scared. I think she was telling him, "I'm going to tell my family what you've been doing to me."
Or maybe she even wanted to find somewhere safe locally that she could go to tell somebody that she needed help or something.
Either that or once the trip was done, she was done with him and he knew it.
Yep.
Because think about this. That night that she stayed in the in the van and he stayed in the motel when the cops separated them, wouldn't that empower her just a little bit?
Maybe at that point I would have just taken the keys and to the van and gone.
I'd have drove straight to the airport and called my dad and been like, meet me at the airport. You're helping me drive home.
Yeah.
Exactly. But, when someone's a victim like that, they don't see being able to do that.
Exactly. It's that amount of fear that you've got all the time, isn't it? Being in that situation.
Yeah.
But it's also practicality. I mean, she's a young girl.
And see, that's the sad part. The way her dad speaks and holds himself, he would have hung the moon for her.
Yep.
That man loved his daughter. She was daddy's little girl. I can just tell.
He had a great family by the sounds of it, a great support system, like a great 2 fathers, which is amazing, that loves her. Like she had so much people that would have just jumped on a plane for her.
Yeah.
Yep.
She sounded like an awesome girl, though. I mean,
I think when she was in that hotel room, I think those two were going back and forth, and he was telling her the wedding's going to be great. I love you.
Change.
We'll be together forever. And she was hopeful for that. Yeah. But for her to get in that van and drive 2,000 miles either direction, that would have been a lot for her to take on.
I can only imagine how isolated she must have felt.
Exactly. So it was in her frame of mind, at her age. Like I said, just my opinion. She probably thought, you know what? I'll just sit here and wait on him.
Yeah.
He'll change. She probably even thought that he would change if they got married. It would be fine. And
That's
Well,
a good question, Lori Ann in
here's
chat.
another thing that could have went on when the cops separated them. Everybody calmed down. But in his mind, if you notice, they almost had a hard time taking the keys away from him to give to her for that van.
Hmm.
So in my mind, he
Was he scared?
goes to the hotel room. She gets separated and put in the van that night. He's going to tell her anything and everything and romance her to death to get her to
Oh,
bring
yeah.
that van back.
Yeah, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna work on it. I love you so
Yeah.
much.
Because if you notice, all she asked for was her telephone when the police stopped them. And they were like, hey, dude, she needs the keys. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Mhm.
He was so hesitant to give them keys up to that van.
Well, he was probably afraid that she was gonna leave him.
Well, it was her van.
She should have. Yeah, she could have left.
I think it's more his control.
Yeah.
I've been in a relationship, a domestic violence relationship at the same age as her, and I can tell you it is hard when you love that person and you feel like you love that person and you just hope they're going to change. And every time they say they're going to change, you believe them. You want to.
Yeah, it gives you yeah. But I think he thought he lost control, and I think he thought that she made him look like a fool in front of them cops.
Ooh, good point.
And then he loses more control because they take the van keys away from him.
Yeah, so he was even more pissed, probably.
Exactly.
Now, there was some speculations I seen earlier in chat that people were mentioning gunshots and stuff. I didn't see anything of that nature. Does anyone know if they were carrying weapons?
I have no idea.
Was that ever mentioned?
We don't know, but during like the press conference with the dude from Florida, if you listen to I don't remember which one it was, but one of the reporters asked if Brian had any firearms, and he kind of smirks and he goes, I don't feel comfortable answering that question right now. So I'm guessing it's a possibility.
Yeah, because if it was a no, it would have been an easy no.
He had a gun.
Yeah.
He had a handgun.
Well, you figure they had to have some kind of protection. I mean, they were out in the wilderness.
Yeah. And there was a Lori Ann in chat. She mentioned earlier, was there prior anger problems with Brian? Like, I'm wondering, like, was there police reports in their hometown? Like, how far back of domestic does it go? Not that it matters. Like, what? It's just, I'm just curious, how far back of a violent relationship does it go?
Well, then we'd have to ask how far back does it go with him? Because he could be one of these crazy little boys that like to kill animals, when he was little.
Yes. And were the parents aware of this type of relationship?
They had to have been.
Was there a friend who gave a
There's so many
statement?
people saying there's no red flags, but there had to have been red flags.
Wasn't there a friend who said that she'd witnessed violence between him and her, or from him towards her as well?
I did see a video of her friend speaking out, but I didn't get to watch it.
Yeah, she said at least 7 times in 1 year that Gabby had gone to stay with her to separate herself from him because of what he was doing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you almost wonder what type of relationship Brian's parents had with her and how they felt about her if they were fighting all the time.
If she lived with his parents in his house, then surely they would have witnessed some of this going on as well.
His sister even said it wasn't uncommon for them to fight and spend time away from each other.
Right. And now they're on a road trip together for these months and months on end in a tiny little van together.
Right.
kind of doesn't bode well, does it?
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
I'm gonna
That's
have
like
to jump
putting
off
a
here 'cause
Mentos in a Coca-Cola bottle and shaking it.
Sorry, I'm going to have to jump off because I've got to go to bed. But thank you very much, everyone, and I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow.
Oh, thank you, Kat. See
No
you in
problem.
Discord.
All
And
right,
actually, we're gonna start winding this down. We have another live tomorrow at 9 a.m. And anything that happens with Gabby, Summer, or anything, we'll just hop right back on. Is that okay, guys?
That's great.
That sounds great.
Well,
Yep.
thank you guys for letting me be here. I enjoyed having this conversation with y'all. Not the topic, but the conversation.
Right. It was nice.
Yeah, and we're all helping spread the word for Gabby. And I know, like, with all of us and everyone out there doing what we're doing, we will get justice for her.
Oh, absolutely. Because
I hope so.
Me too. And I really hope that people start to see red flags in relationships and step in.
Yeah.
Yes. Let this be a thing that will bring on some good, turn something bad into something good.
Yep.
Especially when they saw her in Moab, it could have been stopped right then.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, you guys. Hey, thanks, mods. I know it was kind of wild tonight, but thank you, everyone. Thank you, chat. Thank you, What Big Eyes, Snow, Hagen, Kat, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Everyone have a great night.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.